Hello everyone, welcome to William and the Magic Box. Today on our show, we are going to have Tony. Tony is from Cape Town in South Africa. So let's see what Tony has to say. Enjoy the interview. Hello Tony, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well. Thanks so much for taking the time for the interview today. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. I have no idea what to expect. And the first time I saw you, I saw this magic box and I thought you were some magician. I thought you liked the magic events or something. I didn't realize you did podcasts and YouTube videos. So this is interesting.
Amazing. So tell me, how's your day going so far?
Good, crazy. It's Canadian Thanksgiving coming up this weekend, so a little bit busy. And then I leave for South Africa next week to lead rhino rescues in the bush. So
Wow.
it's going to be busy.
So amazing. So where's about in Canada are you based right now?
Toronto.
And that's the place where you're born and raised?
No, South African born. So I was born in South Africa, raised in South Africa, and then I studied. I went to university in South Africa. Then I got transferred with my company from South Africa to the UK. So I was in London you're in London, right?
Yeah, I am, yes.
So I was in London from 2003 to 2009, to end of 2008, 2009, and then my company transferred me to Toronto. So I've been in Toronto ever since then.
Wow. And where's about in South Africa you come from?
Cape Town. So I'm in Cape Town for now. Like I live between Cape Town and Toronto. So I have homes in both countries. So basically I'm in Cape Town. And then when I'm leading rhino rescues, I'm more towards the Mozambican border.
I see. And are your family back in Cape Town?
Yeah. My mom, my sister, my dad, my nieces, everyone. So I'm the only one that moved abroad.
Amazing. Okay, so let's start the interview talking about your Rhino project, that you mentioned already a few times. So tell me a little bit about the idea, when did it started? Walk me through a little bit about the journey so far.
So I've always been involved in wildlife conservation since I was a kid, because I was born in South Africa. So my family was pretty involved as well. So yeah, so I've always been involved, and then I went to university. I actually wanted to study conservation. That was my passion. I wanted to actually study that. But my dad, thank God, told me to go down the typical career path. I studied supply chain engineering, got my degree, worked in that field, and then I ended up having a bit of a detour along the way, and ended up in advertising technology, ad tech. So that was my career path. So I actually I veered off from engineering and it ended up in advertising. And now I'm in a position where I can now help and give back. And now I invest majority of my time in helping with rhino rescues. So.
Wow. And that's your full-time job or not right now?
It's not a job. I volunteer. So I volunteer my time to actually lead rescues in the bush, in the field. So I'm about probably 6 months a year now in South Africa leading rescues. So I volunteer my time. I'm on the board of directors for a charity, which was actually incorporated in the States, because a lot of our charity supporters are American. So so now I help with fundraising. I help with anti-poaching intelligence. So I'm involved in lots of different initiatives that help raise awareness and funding for this cause to try and stop poaching in South Africa, and to try to save rhinos before it's too late.
Amazing. And so tell me a little bit about your job, besides your volunteer work.
Yes, I retired. I retired from my career. So so my job before my career, actually, as I said, I studied supply chain engineering. That was my field. And then I got into advertising technology, and I worked in that for my entire career. I started my own ad tech company in 2010. And then I sold my company during COVID, or just before COVID. And then I've retired from advertising now. And now I'm primarily trying to help with this conservation work, because we only have about 5 years left before we lose rhinos in Africa. for good. So there's not much time left. So in order for me to do a decent job, I felt like I needed to volunteer more of my time to this cause. So yeah, that's where I'm at now. What I do after this, I have no idea. Once we've won this war against rhino poaching, I don't know. I'll probably move into some other conservation area or help in other ways. But obviously our focus is to try win against this poaching war at the moment.
Amazing. I'm glad that you are sharing that, because this interview goes around the world, and I just hope people to embrace and to help, and somehow as well be minded about it. And I think it's people like you spreading around those beautiful journeys. It's very inspiring. Amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
Tony, before we start our journey within the magic box, I would like you to tell me something interesting about yourself, or maybe something that not many people know about you.
Well, I'm a pretty open book. I mean, everyone knows me that follows me on social media. I think they know everything about me. But something that people don't know maybe is when I was a kid, I was attacked by a penguin. So,
oh my God.
in Cape Town. Have you ever been to Cape Town?
No, I haven't actually. No.
Okay. So there's an area called Boulders Beach, and there are wild penguins that come up onto the beach. And I was actually, as a kid, I love these penguins. So I used to go right up close to these penguins, and I got really close to one, like face to face, and it bit my ear. It like lunged at me, and it grabbed onto this ear here, and it ripped a chunk out of my ear. So you can, if you look closely, I don't know if you can see. Can you see there's like a divot?
Yeah.
That was from a penguin. So the other ear, look, the other ear is fine. This ear is deformed. So so that was my one thing that people don't know about me. Is probably the most traumatic thing I've ever experienced, because as a kid being attacked by this cute looking penguin, you just don't expect them to be that vicious, but they are vicious.
Wow. Have you forgiven him?
It took me a long time. I mean, to this day, when I see a penguin, I like tremble. I see this tiny little penguin. These penguins are small; they're not big. And I'm a grown man, and I walk past a penguin, and I'm like trembling.
Easy.
Yeah.
Tony, are you ready to go on a beautiful journey through your memories in life and share your point of views?
Yeah, perfect. Yes, let's do it.
I'm William and a Matchbox. So I have here my best friend full of wonderful questions, okay? I'm just gonna play a song now, just for us to relax before the first question, all right?
Okay, sounds good. Okay. All right.
Let's do it. Hey, yes, you can always dance with me.
I'm not as good as you. I'm not as good as you at dancing.
So before we start the game, during the journey, if it comes up a question that you don't want to answer, you don't want to talk about, so always can change, okay?
Okay, perfect.
First question for you is, what makes you most proud?
What makes me most proud? Wow. I mean, I guess I'm pretty proud of myself. Where I'm 42. I turned 42 this year, and I've worked hard. Like, I've worked really hard in my life, and I'm lucky to have an amazing father who like really instilled a hard, really good work ethic. So I'm pretty proud with what I've done in my life so far and where I am now. So yeah, I hope I can continue and do bigger and greater things. But yeah, I'm pretty proud of where I've come from.
And when you think about yourself, when you analyze yourself, what's the biggest joy of being Tony? What do you like the most about being you?
What's the biggest joy of being me? Jeez,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I'm a pretty miserable person.
I don't believe you.
The biggest joy? That's a hard one. I've never thought about it. Like, the biggest joy, that's a tricky one. I don't know. Like, I guess my biggest joy is I'm pretty easygoing. I'm very lighthearted, and I'm very easy I'm very easy to get on with, and nothing really gets me down. Like, I guess that's the biggest joy about me is nothing will pull me down. Even people that might want, even haters, you get a lot of haters out there and
Mhm.
people saying negative things. And if someone says something negative to me, it won't pull me down, I guess. So I guess that's my biggest joy.
And you've always been this way?
No, no, I haven't. I was in my younger years, I was pretty um yeah, I would take things on, like when people would say things that were upsetting, they would affect me. But what I've come to realize, as you mature through life, you realize it's not always about you. If someone's unhappy with you or they say something really derogatory or like nasty or nasty, it's often about them and they're just projecting. So I think it's, you can't really take things to heart. So yeah, no, I've learned just to, as long as you're a good person and you do things well in life and you treat others with respect, that's all you can do. And if anyone says anything otherwise, that's on them.
Amazing. Next question. Let's do it. Hey, Tony. Next question is, what's the best gift ever received and from whom?
The best gift ever received. I would say my dad, when I was at college, university, I had to pay my way through university. My dad made me pay my way. Not that he couldn't afford to pay for my university. I mean, he could. My dad ran a very successful business in South Africa, farming business, and as a family, we did pretty well financially. But he wanted to teach me work ethic, and so I went through university believing I was having to fund my own studies, which I was at the time. I had to work part time and fund my studies. And once I got my degree and made it through university and got through the other end, my dad surprised me and said, "This money you paid for your tuition, I've been putting it in an investment account and it's now yours." So he essentially did pay for my university. He just didn't tell me at the time because he wanted me to work hard. So I think that was an amazing thing to do as a father, and I would probably, if I had kids, I would probably do the same. So he taught me a lot just by doing that. The value of hard work and dedication. So yeah, that's probably my greatest gift.
My God, I got goosebumps now saying that. What an amazing idea from your dad, and I'm sure you'll give this idea away now. And I think it makes sense. I just make you a strong person and just go after your dreams. It's amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
Is your dad the closest person in your family?
I mean, I'm close to my whole family. My dad and my mom, they're both incredible human beings. My dad is just a solid rock. He's been such a great role model for me growing up.
Yeah.
Um, Almost, it's been quite difficult because I look at my dad and I just see him as this perfect human being, and having to live up to that level is quite tough. I remember feeling a lot of pressure as a kid. I'm like, how do I live up and fill my dad's shoes? Because that's the expectation. Everyone expects, Mr. Knight Jr. to live up to the level of Mr. Knight Senior. So it was always tricky. But yeah, I'd say my dad. I'm very close to my mom. My sister's incredible. We just a very close family. We have a lot of respect for each other. We see each other a lot. We spend a lot of quality time together. So my mom's amazing. She's the most loving, caring soul I think I've ever met. And I just find her just such a unique human being. So I feel I'm very lucky. My dad and my mom are very different. So I feel lucky to be a part of a family that's so loving and caring. Yeah.
Okay, so let's see that your parents are watching this interview right now and you have a moment, an opportunity to send them a message. What would you say?
If I'd send a message to my family now,
Yeah, to your parents right now, they are watching. What would you say?
I would just tell them, I'm just really thankful and grateful for how they brought me up. Just they really instilled these strong foundational core values in me that really have stuck with me as I've grown up into adulthood, and they've really helped me through life. So I would thank them for that. There are a lot of dysfunctional families in this world, and I just feel so grateful and blessed that I could call them mom and dad, and I can be their son, So yeah.
Amazing. Very good. Next question. Let's do it.
Oh, you're a good dancer. Jeez. Jeez.
I'm from Brazil, so Brazilian people, there's something in our blood.
Oh, I love Rio. Rio is amazing. I go to Rio all the time. Well, I've been to Rio, São Paulo. That's it. I haven't seen much of the rest of Brazil, but I love it.
So before the next question, tell me what has been the most challenging parts in your Rhino project that so far since you started, and what has been the most enjoyable part?
I think the most challenging part, hands down, is sometimes we don't have the ability to support every rhino in South Africa that needs the support. And that mainly boils down to a funding issue. So, for example, we had an issue last year. Was there last year? Oh, no, sorry, it was this year. This year, January. We didn't have enough funding, and there was a reserve that needed assistance because they knew they were currently being targeted for a poaching attack. So they knew their rhinos were at risk. So they reached out to us asking if we could help fund a rescue effort and to dehorn their rhinos and to chip them and just keep them safe from these poachers. And at that time, we just didn't have enough funding to do it. And unfortunately, a month later, we got the news that 12 rhinos were killed and poached on their reserve. So, and they weren't just killed, they were, I don't know if you know what goes on in South Africa, but basically they were mutilated. So what poachers do is they don't use a gun. Because a gun makes a noise. And if anything that makes a noise, they won't use because it attracts the attention of the rangers and they don't want to be arrested. So they use methods that have no sound. The only way to remove a horn from a rhino's face without any machinery is to use a knife or a panga, which is basically like a grass cutter. So what these poachers do is once they've cut the hamstrings of the rhinos will fall and they no longer can move and look and defend themselves. And then the poachers will cut the flesh around the nose. They'll actually cut the face off and take the face with the nose, with the horn, and they leave the rhino to bleed out and die. They don't kill it. So the worst part of it is the cruelty behind it. These poor rhinos go through tremendous suffering for 12 hours because it will take them 12 hours to bleed out and die. And then they die 12 hours later. So it's the most barbaric, most horrific act of cruelty I think I've ever seen in my entire life. And I've been involved in a lot of conservation work over the years. And I've never seen anything quite this bad. And this is why I do the work. So that to me is probably the toughest moment I've ever had in my life, where we should have been able to do something, but because we didn't have enough funding, we unfortunately weren't able to save these rhinos. And that unfortunately put me into huge depression. Emotionally, it really hits me hard. And that is something I try to manage. And I try to become emotionally numb to what happens, because you have to be when you work in this field. You cannot be emotionally attached. But that's definitely by far the most toughest thing I've had to deal with today.
And the most enjoyable part?
The most enjoyable part is the victories we've seen. Like we've won a lot of, we've helped a lot of rhinos, and we've diffused a lot of potential poaching attacks by being proactive and getting on the reserves that are under threat to secure the rhinos. Often we might even relocate the rhinos to safer areas. And we've had a lot of success. We've been able to save a lot of rhinos. So I would say the ratio of losing rhino and saving them, it's I would say on the higher side. It's probably like 80% to 20, losing 20, saving 80. So it's good. So I think our success ratio is good. So that's, seeing those victories is the most uplifting thing that I've ever experienced in my life so far.
Amazing. Okay, next question is, if you won the lottery, what would be your first big splurge?
Oh, I think you can guess. Come on.
I can, yes.
What's your guess?
You'd save all the rhinos possible anywhere, everywhere.
Yeah, in Africa. So I think what I would do is, if I won the lottery, I would make sure there's enough funding, consistent funding, because our charity doesn't have enough consistent cash flow. So we need cash flow month after month so we can keep helicopters in the air to keep these rhinos safe and protected. So that's what I'll do. I'll make sure there's enough cash flow every month so these rhinos can be protected. And anything that's left over, I mean, I'm okay financially. I've retired. I don't need really any additional funding. I would help any family members that need additional assistance. But other than that, yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know what else. I think rhinos would be keeping the rhino population safe would be my top priority for sure.
It's beautiful to see this connection that you have with rhinos. Why is that, Tony? When was the moment that you connected, that you felt that connection with them? That was something in your life or growing up in South Africa or, tell me the moment when you felt attached to them.
So when I was a kid, I mean, I've done a lot of different conservation work. I've been involved with lion conservation. I did a lot of lion conservation work where we were rehabilitating lion prides and trying to regrow the lion populations because the lion populations are down by 80%, which most people don't know. They were also endangered at one point. They're fine now. The population numbers are growing again. But in terms of rhinos, there was a baby rhino that was injured by poachers. His name was Arthur, and his spine was severed by a poacher. They took an axe and they cut the spine of this baby rhino because it was trying to defend its mother while the poachers were trying to take the horn off its face. So unfortunately, this baby rhino, it survived. The mother died. The rhino survived, and it was airlifted to an orphanage, a baby rhino orphanage. And I was privileged enough to be able to look after this little rhino. And the connection that humans have with rhinos is pretty remarkable. No one would know this because I don't think many people have been able to interact with a rhino, right? Like I have. So it's kind of like if you have a dog at home or a pet at home and you feel this connection with your pet or your dog, almost like there's some sort of like emotional connection and there's a vibration, like we understand it. We don't talk the same language, but we understand each other. It's that kind of connection. And rhinos are highly emotionally intelligent. They're very, very evolved emotionally. So to a point where this little baby, Arthur, would know when I was leaving. That before I left the orphanage, he would start crying before I even left.
Oh my God.
He could sense I was leaving. And then before I came back, like when I was driving back into the orphanage, when I was like 10 kilometers away from the orphanage, he would start crying with excitement because he could, I don't know how, but he could feel me coming. And everyone would say, well, like, why is he going crazy? Like, what's going on? We could only put it down to because I was coming and he could maybe feel my energy or vibration. I don't know. It's very mysterious, but there's definitely a connection between animals in general and humans, specifically rhinos. Rhinos are very, very connected on that spiritual wavelength for some reason.
Wow.
Yeah.
How long usually a rhino can live?
Well, it depends. I mean, with this poaching issue, it's but 30, 40 years.
So is Arthur still alive or not?
Yeah, he is. He's still alive, but because his spine was really badly damaged, he wasn't able to grow properly. Because what happened is the injury that he succumbed, the growth hormone, as a baby, as humans too, we have growth hormone that helps us grow. It helps our bones grow. It helps us grow bigger. His injury was so severe that all the growth hormone went into repairing that spinal injury. And because of that, it didn't go anywhere else to his body. So that he hasn't grown. So he still looks like a baby. Even though he's now an adult, he's like a miniature adult. So, yeah.
When are you going to see him next?
Probably in 2 months, 2 months, 3 months. Yeah, depends.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Sweet, very sweet. Right, I have 3 questions left. Okay, let's do it.
Okay.
Look, our mood's coming now, yeah?
No, the moves are coming. The moves are coming.
Right. If I would ask your best friends to define yourself right now, what they would say?
I'm a bit of a goofball. I'm a total, I come across sometimes a bit stiff and serious, but I'm also a total goofball. So I'm a weird contradiction of goofy but serious, which is kind of weird. So,
Uh-huh.
so I'm kind of like a serious goofball, I guess. They would, that's how how they would define me, I guess.
Tell me something, Tony. What the meaning of life for you?
Meaning of life. Well, now, if you were to ask me now, my meaning of life is very different from what it was when I was in my 20s. Now, my meaning of life, I've just found with this transition I've made from working in a highly superficial career, which was the advertising world, very superficial, materialistic, shallow, all the core values that today I don't identify with. I used to identify with those values when I was 20 because I was young and stupid and like arrogant and all that stuff. So, and now to me, I find true happiness when you are of service to something else other than yourself. And I've found that true meaning through this work I'm doing now, where when I wake up in the morning, I'm not thinking about Tony when I wake up. I'm thinking about how can I make an impact and make a difference for these rhinos. And that truly, unexpectedly, I didn't realize how much happiness that can actually bring you, until I was in it and I was doing this work. I realized every day I'm getting up feeling enriched, fulfilled, excited. I've never worked harder today than I ever have in my entire life. And I'm working nonprofit and I'm doing this for free. So I think, I hope everyone maybe gets to that point in their lives. I think everyone has their own journey. People have to
Yeah.
go through like experiencing the fruits of life and all the lovely like materialistic things that draw us in as consumers. I think we all need to experience what that's like. But once you've experienced it, you realize that it really doesn't bring happiness and it really doesn't add much value to your life at all. So yeah,
Do you believe that happiness is a choice?
I believe it's a choice. I believe we can all create our own happiness. Yeah, I believe it's all up here. It doesn't matter where in the world you live. It doesn't matter under what circumstances you live under. You could be in a war-torn country. It's up to you to make your own paradise in whatever situation you're in. So
Mhm.
our minds are very powerful. You can look at the smallest thing and be grateful for these tiny things in your life. And by practicing that gratitude, you immediately look at the world through a lens of gratitude. And by doing that, it makes you happy. And it just makes the world feel like a much better place. So it's up to us to create our own paradise, for sure.
Um, Very good. Two questions left. Let's do it. For the next one, tell me about, you mentioned about your family, you mentioned about, how grateful you are for have the support you always had. How was for you growing up in Cape Town when you look back, for your childhood memories?
Oh, it was amazing. I'm really happy I grew up in South Africa. I mean, I lived a true amazing outdoor adventurous childhood. Like I had an incredible I was doing crazy things. I was jumping out of trees, climbing up mountains, surfing every day. I was in the ocean. I mean, I was living a truly outdoor childhood, which I think
Uh-huh.
most kids that live in cities, they don't have that opportunity because they're living in a concrete jungle. So I feel blessed being having the opportunity to do all these incredible things as a kid. So yeah, it was great. I mean, every day was an adventure for me. Every single day was just outdoors, doing crazy things. So yeah.
As you already lived in England, you live in Canada now. Tell me something. What, through your experience, what's something that people have a misconception about South African or Africans? There's something that you found, weird or different that people didn't have the knowledge about it?
Yeah, I think obviously, I mean, the elephant in the room with South Africa is the apartheid regime, the racism and all that. I mean, and it was what I think a lot of people don't realize is the apartheid regime was put in place by a very small minority in South Africa. And I really don't like this topic because, people that are of that small minority, and there might be some people that are watching this, so I don't want to like mention the name of that small minority, but
course.
They basically put the apartheid into place. And I think every person that has a white skin that lives in South Africa, I think back then were labeled as racist. And that was definitely the wrong perception. I mean, I went to school with African kids, with colored, with Indian kids. They were all our friends, and we all got on well. And I didn't know the apartheid growing up. I didn't even know there was such a thing until I got older when I heard about it. But for me, in my generation, it wasn't a thing. My parents' generation, they were aware because they were much older. But
Right.
to me, like one of my best friends was African. So he was black, he was African, and he was one of my closest friends. So I do get, I worry that the perception from, the world is
Uh-huh.
if white South African, you are automatically racist, which is not true at all. It's yeah.
I see. Interesting. Next question is, what makes you most uncomfortable about dating?
Geez. I think dating. I think dating is a tricky space to be in now in this day and age with social media. I
Uh-huh.
think there's always something bigger and better, or someone that's better or bigger or can offer something more than the next. I don't think there's in general, I think there's a feeling of like never being satisfied with
Okay.
with a person that you settle down with. It's just a different mindset. I think the kids now, I feel really bad for the kids that have to go through the whole dating process because, yeah, they have a like a lot they have to face. A lot of challenges, a lot of obstacles that can really interfere with building a solid relationship with someone. So, yeah. So,
Okay. Last question. Ready?
yeah.
Let's do it. Last one. Before the last question, tell me so far what the rhinos has taught you.
What the rhinos have taught me.
Yeah, so far.
Uh, Unconditional love for sure. Like I think any animal in general, I think there's this unconditional love that they have for their people that are looking after them. I mean, even abusers. I mean, rhinos, even though they've been abused, they will still come to humans. And like same with a dog, like man's best friend. If they will still be loyal to someone who abuses them, so it's that unconditional love. I think as humans we could learn a thing or two from animals, from dogs, from rhinos, from any animal. I think they have a more pure soul than us humans. I think humans are unfortunately just specimens, so I think we as a species can learn from how animals interact with each other and how they move through life, so yeah, unconditional love.
Amazing. Last question is, which question would you like to be asked?
Which question would I like to be asked
Yeah.
by you?
Yeah, right now there's a question that, for example, when you do the interview, when when you're talking to people, or when you are talking, different organization, there's something that you always would like people to ask you, a topic or something that's for you, it feels like, okay, I'm glad this person asking this question. There's something.
Well, I always appreciate people that want to learn more about this work that I'm passionate about. So anyone who takes interest in this rhino rescue work, or they want to learn a bit more about what goes on and why we're doing this work to protect the rhinos, and that enthusiasm to try and understand and educate themselves is something I really respect and appreciate. So yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to ask a question based on that. People watching this interview right now, if they would like to help you, help the organization somehow, give a little help or anything, what's the best way to get there, to get to you somehow, or the organization?
Yeah, so you can go to our charity's website, which is urhino.org. So it's the letter U and then rhino.org. And then there's an option where you can donate. there's an option where you can request to join an actual rhino rescue. So you can help fund a rescue and then actually come to South Africa and join myself and my team on a rhino rescue. So I lead all the rescues. I'm actually in the field leading the rescues. We fly around in helicopters and we basically secure the rhinos and do our work on the rhinos. So anyone who signs up and joins a rhino rescue will join me and my team on this rescue. We do other things as well. We'll take people out on safaris so they can see Africa and see all the other animals. But they'll also get to experience what it's like to be part of a conservation team and get hands-on with rhinos. So you'll actually be able to touch the rhinos, take blood samples, take hair samples, and be in the field, in the wild with wild rhinos, which is pretty amazing. So I would encourage anyone, go to the Instagram page. It's uRhino Project on Instagram, at uRhino Project. The website is urhino.org. And you can message there, and you can also ask to connect with me as well directly. So if you want to message me, just send a message to the website and it'll be referred to me. And then I can get in touch with whoever it is directly if they want to speak to me directly about joining.
Amazing. Okay, so then let's play now the word association game. Okay, I'm going to give away some words. Just tell one word that comes to your mind. Quick thinking. Okay. One word for money.
Meaningless. To a point.
Fear.
Courage.
Family.
Love.
Life.
Bliss.
One word for love.
Unconditional.
Religion.
No comment.
Okay. Sex.
Yum.
Politics.
No comment again.
Okay. Friendship.
Grateful.
Desire.
Passion.
Regret.
No such thing as regret. That's more than one word, but there's no such thing as regret.
Okay. Success.
Fulfillment.
Wish.
Dreams.
Happiness.
Oh my God. Happiness? Joy.
Okay. When you were in England, you were based in London?
I was based in London, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one word for London.
Exciting.
One word for Toronto.
Not as exciting. No. Different. I love both. I love both cities. So different.
One word for Cape Town.
Like beauty, beautiful. Like
one word for South Africa.
Incredible.
Nelson Mandela, one word.
Saint.
And the last one now, rhinos, one word.
Pure love.
Amazing. Let's pretend now I'm going to meet your dad for a coffee, and I'm going to ask him, define Tony in one positive word and one negative word only, what he would say.
One positive word and one negative word. Positive, passionate.
Okay.
Negative, I would say distracted. Because I'm ADHD, I've got like major ADHD, which is a good thing and a bad thing. It helped me in my career tremendously. So, yeah.
What's your star sign in astrology, Tony?
Capricorn.
December?
January 13th.
Amazing. Let's play now, Tony, and the magic box, and you can ask me a question. You can ask me a question now, Tony.
Okay, so I want to know from you. You seem to be quite a, like, judging based on your dance moves, you seem to be a talented guy. Like, you got some good rhythm. So I'm pretty sure that you have some other hidden talents that none of us know about. So I want to know, dancing clearly is something you are incredibly good at. So I want to know, what else are you good at? Tell me another hidden talent of yours.
Okay, I can tell you now. Great question, actually. Great question. I think Brazilian people, there's something about our moves. Yeah, I think it's the weather. You know very well. You come from, South Africa, so it's something about it that when you were born in Brazil, you have two ways: or you become a football player, or you become a dancer. I didn't go either way. However, the moves I still keep it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Hidden talent, I think, based on the show that I've been doing for the last 4 years, and I had over 1,000 interviews here on the show so far. I didn't know that, but people, they comment a lot that somehow when we are doing the interview, they feel, open. They feel like they can talk, they can open about things that sometimes I had so many situations where when I was editing the interview, I had to contact my guest again, just double check, because it was something very personal. And I was wondering if if I would keep or not. And sometimes I was just take it out because I could see the connection was the person was so enthusiastic that they didn't realize what they just said. Also as well, they contacted me afterwards saying, William, I got too excited about this. Can you just take it out because it was too personal? I said, and I was already thinking about that. So back to your question, it's something about, I don't think it's even about me, it's even about the show and my personality and about the connection that we are having now. That people, they just feel they trust the show. They just trust that they can just open about things. And I think that's a talent that's the show, maybe half of the show and half of me, that connects here. And somehow people, they feel comfortable about the interview. So yeah, I love the question, and it's something about that I don't know where it comes from. I don't know. It's about the way I've been raised, or I left Brazil. I was 19 years old. I lived in Portugal. I'm living here now. It's about the life experience, and sometimes, connect with my own personality. That it just flows natural here. You know what I mean? And I just remember that I'm recording sometimes when I see it on the side, because for me, I just feel like talking to a friend, someone that I know for years. So yeah, I love the question, and that's my answer for you.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Amazing.
Perfect.
So Tony, tell me, did you like the interview?
I did. I loved it. Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks so much for taking the time, and also thanks so much for for you to be doing the job that you do. I think people who, for one reason or another, when they do something that you're doing, you're taking your time to helping rhinos and animals. I think when people, they do that, it's a gift that you have. Not everyone who can do that, so I feel very grateful and thankful as well that we had this time now, because somehow you are educating people, you are helping people to be more understanding about that, and somehow this help get to you and to the job that you do. I just hope all the best, because I even get goosebumps now. I didn't know much about that, and it just literally put in my mind now this situation when said that what happened to them. And I think I just hope people watch this interview, they have the same impact in their lives as well. And somehow, if the show can help a little bit in your work or your job, I've done already I think we meant to have this interview today, Ton. So thanks very much. Thanks for being this person doing what you do. I think it's very inspiring, and I just hope people to somehow do the same, or somehow just help, or change the way they think, or somehow just being positive about that. So thanks so much for the interview.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
but before you go, so tell me, what's your favorite African word?
Oh, okay. So my favorite African word is it's in Zulu. Um, and I find the Zulu language is a very beautiful language in general.
Mhm.
And utando means love in Zulu.
Okay.
And it's my favorite word because I really do love the Zulu culture. Anyone that's been to South Africa that's ever come across any of the Zulus in South Africa, you'll find them to be a very warm, loving um, group of people. They're just the most incredible people, very grateful. So yeah, my favorite word and the most beautiful word in the world, I think, is utando. Utando.
Utando.
Utando.
Utando.
Utando.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Tony, before you go, if you can share a positive message or anything that you live by.
Positive message. I think what I would say is maybe to anyone that's kind of making their way through life and going through struggles, and everyone goes through this as they're moving through their career. I would say don't sweat the small stuff. Easier said than done. A lot of people stress about really small things, and I used to do the same. I used to worry about stuff that really doesn't matter. So I've always tried to follow that mantra. Just don't sweat the small stuff. Think big picture, and everything will be fine.
Amazing. Very good.
Sounds good.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much. And keep in touch. It was a pleasure having you on the show. Okay. Have a good day.
Thank you for having me. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye. So, did you like the show? Don't forget to give a like, share it, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to be part of the show as well, first, subscribe to our channel, and after that, just go to our website, www.williamandthemagicbox.com, and send us a request saying why you'd like to be part of the show. And I see you there. Bye bye. See you next time.